So hello everyone and good day. Welcome to another short video on SAP SD output determination analysis. So what we'll do today is we'll look at two tables that should ideally prove very helpful when you are looking to analyze any output related issues or specifically useful for projects which are going to go live or in the hypercare phase or you're being pulled into support with SD output issues. So let's jump right in. We will look at the first table. Now, the most common table that people should be aware, most people are aware of with regards to output, not only SD in general outputs is NASD. This has the transactional information, that is which order or which delivery or which invoice output was triggered, what is the invoice number, and so on. So this is the normal transaction table that people are aware of. But there are quite a number of times different kind of errors that creep in. They can be errors or they can sometimes be an unidentified requirement or a bit of miscommunication, etc. But where can you find these kind of issues? So one or two issues that I can think of is, let's say the order changes. There are some values that change, and you're supposed to trigger another output for order confirmation, for example, to the customer, and it doesn't happen. Then these things typically depend on the settings that you do on your output in the NACE transaction. Yeah, the argument can be that these things we can also identify via NACE, then why do we really require tables? Now, a lot of times in projects, especially with security being given such importance nowadays, transactional access is typically restricted. So usually people do not have access to NACE, especially technical people mostly do not have it. Functional people may have it, but generally SE16N or SE16 access is provided or given so that you can check things at the table level. So the first table that we can look at is the TNAPR table. Now, what is this table? So this is from a technical perspective, a table that gives you information as to which output is linked to which program and what form. This is especially useful when you have a lot of custom forms and there are issues either related to the form or maybe the data in the form, maybe some data is not appearing, maybe some text is too long, maybe the window size is too small. So how do you analyze? This is the table that you typically start with. You can put your output type that you know is an error. You put the application. Now when I put V1, this is giving me all sales related application. This will also give you information as to what medium this is configured for, the output is configured for. So one is typically print, two is fax, five is external send. So if you're going to send it out to your customer, etc. So this table helps with that. So you have the program name, you have the routine name, you have the form name that is primarily being used to display this output. So this kind of information is quite helpful, and this is something that is provided in this table. Now, typically, I found that even ABAPers sometimes do not know about this table, but yeah, this is an important table. If you have some experience, you would have seen and used this. The other table that I would like to talk about quickly is T685B. Now, this has more insight and information as to how the output is really configured. So, let's say if I do a V1 again for sales, you will see that the information is popping up where I can see there are around 40 different outputs for sales. So you will see what are the different configurations here. Again, if there are any special programs and special information that needs to be um, or condition or logic that needs to be inserted, then you get that information from here. Again, you will get all this information in NACE, but if you do not have the access, then you know this is a good starting point. For example, let's say an invoice should only get triggered when or re-triggered when there are changes to the actual value. Description changes should not be triggering invoice, for example. So here you can see that the invoice has changed output program and form routine linked to that. So KOBED underscore 014 tells me that this is VOFM routine that has been designed to insert a logic regarding this output. So mostly condition records are what are used to trigger the output, but even after the condition records get used, sometimes there is some logic that needs to be applied, as in only when the value changes, you will be triggering an output and things like that. So this you can see that the necessary program and routine has been mentioned here. You can go to SE38. I'll show that to you in a bit. But apart from that, there are other programs and form routine. For example, you want to change your mail title and things like that. So here you can see there is a program for that. There are also programs where your if you are going to use, so this timing program is something I have seen used sometimes where let's say you have a lot of orders that get triggered and in a day, and you want only mails or PDFs being sent out on a specific date or maybe over the weekend or something like that. You can use specific timing programs, and even that is mentioned here. So if there is any code for that, you will see that here. So just quickly, we will look at the form routine that we just saw, that is changing the output. Let me do a display. If you remember, the form routine said KOBET underscore 014. So if I go in, hopefully I should see some code that is modifying the size of RC, or yeah, letting you know whether this is going to get triggered. So here you can see, I understand that this is code, and if you are from a functional background, you may not be able to understand exactly what this is, but typically these have comments. Even the custom ones should have better comments, really. So if the net value has changed, resend the output. So you have a clear information as to why this code has been inserted there. Right, so hope this helps. We'll try and add information about more such tables that can really be helpful during your analysis. Thank you and have a nice day.